Real show, here we go. Real show, here we go. You know that it's gotta be that time, so this is what we chant. What keeps on getting them all amped in advance? Come on. You and I rocking out with Iron Man, F.E. You get the general's point of view on top of Roger's rants. Whenever tapping out, we're putting the most minutes in. You already know what that's about, you know that winners win. Crush whatever's on task, check the podcast. It's the champ and the tramp, let the bomb blast.
We have New Jersey royalty in the house today, a man that really doesn't need a lot of introduction. Mr. Rich Gaspari, owner of Gaspari Nutrition. 3-time Mr. Olympia runner-up, right? He's a legend. He's old school bodybuilder. If you lift at all, you know anything about bodybuilding, you know who this guy is.
The first Arnold champ. Right?
First Arnold.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's an honor and pleasure, man, to have you in. I did your podcast recently, and I said you got to return the favor, man. You got to come on, Champ and the Tramp. So
happy to be here and be on the show. You guys are local boys.
Yes.
You live here in South Jersey.
That's right. Here. Yeah, you're. How long have you been down the shore now?
I've been living here for 6 years now.
6 years. Okay. We're kind of neighbors, man. You live maybe a half mile. I drive by your house. When we ride the bikes, we ride by your house all the time.
That's cool.
Yeah,
That's cool.
Yeah, I was just telling Rich that I thought his house was for sale. It wasn't. It was him doing all the work to it. It was under construction. But we were looking at it. It's out of my price range, but absolutely beautiful house on the water over there. So, yeah, you've
I love
gorgeous.
the water. I've always wanted to live on the water, and I mean, winters are not that fun here on the water.
For sure.
They're quiet though.
Very quiet, but very windy.
Yes.
But yeah, I took a house that needed to be basically I should have just tore it down and rebuilt it.
Right.
But I fixed up the original house, and now it's a totally different house.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So, and you have 2 children, 3 children?
I have 2 children.
2.
I have a 15-year-old daughter, and
oh, God bless you.
at my age, I have a 3-year-old son.
Oh, good for you, man.
Love
good
it.
for you.
Love it.
And can we cut that out? Cut that off.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man. So the gray hairs, that's got to be from the 15-year-old, right?
Gray hairs because of how old I am. I'm not a spring chicken.
I've got 2 kids, 6 and 8. Frankie's are a little older, but I always hear those teenage years, man.
Yeah.
They're rough,
I
especially
tell
with
you,
girls.
The toughest years with a girl is the teenage years.
Yeah, I hear that.
I mean, my daughter's definitely giving me a hard time. She's not, a lot of people are like afraid of me. She's not afraid of me at all. She's and she's tough. Like girls are tough.
Oh yeah, I keep hearing
They
that.
tell me that teenage girls are the toughest.
Yeah.
My girl's my youngest, so I'm like, God, I'm dreading those years.
Wait, it happens. It happens at 13.
Right.
They go through this hormonal change, and then it's like a separation. You don't know nothing. I know everything. And there's just forget it.
Yeah, I got a little bit of time to go, but I'm not looking forward to that. I guess I shouldn't say that. I am. Every age has its its ups and downs, and But I've heard that from many, pretty much every parent I've ever talked to. You're like living. Let's be honest. We all post our best moments on social media, right?
Yeah.
And all parents are always like in my DMs, like, "Hey, you just wait till the teenagers, pal. It ain't gonna be like that, So. Yeah.
No, I mean, but it's like you said, there's good moments. She's doing great in school.
That's great.
She just thinks she knows everything, but that's how
great.
kids are. And you have to there's something that goes on with a kid when they turn, I read about this, when they turn a certain age, like a girl, not mostly boys, but girls, that they're basically like separating from you totally.
They want their own independence.
And leave the nest. That's they're ready and they know more.
Yep.
And that's what I was reading, all these psychology books, and it's all something that happens to girls.
Yeah.
But I
don't know why boys, but it doesn't happen to as much.
But they say the girls take care of you later, though.
They come back. Right? They say girls come back.
Change your diapers when they're old.
That'll happen. Yeah.
So circle of life, right? We used to change theirs, and not too long in the near distant future, they're going to be changing ours. Yeah.
Definitely,
sad but true. God, that'll be humbling. Yeah, man. So you're kind of like the heyday of bodybuilding. I mean, it's a much different time now, man. I look at these bodybuilders today. I was just talking to Frankie about this actually today. There's a guy from Jersey. He doesn't live here. I'm sure you're familiar with Nick Walker.
Oh,
from Jersey originally, but
South Jersey.
I just pulled up his stats today. I was with Frankie. He was giving me a ride, and I was like, "How tall are you?" Frankie's like, "I'm 5." What'd you say? 5'6", 5'7", 5'6". He's 5'7". Walks around at 295 pounds. Massive, bro.
And I saw him when he was still amateur, and you know, I train around different gyms, and I went to the Attila's gym.
Yeah.
And I seen this kid there, and I'm like, holy crap, this freaking guy is huge. You know, and I just went up to him, and he was like, you know, oh, Mr. Gaspari, how you doing?
Such a nice guy here.
A really nice guy. And I said, man, you're freaking, I never seen a guy as big as you. And this was before he won anything.
Right.
Wow.
And, you know, a couple of years later, this kid just winning everything. Yeah. And he kind of reminds me of me. He's a very confident kid. When I was competing, I was very confident. You know, they call it cocky, but this, you know, Nick Walker, maybe it's being a Jersey guy.
Yeah.
You know, the way
Absolutely.
he is. But, he's going, I'm going to win this show. I'm that show. And he did. He first Arnold Classic, boom, he wins it. I mean, he comes in the top, I think, 6 in the Olympia the year before, but this year, or last year, he came in 3rd place and very much could have won the show.
Yeah.
He's got all the proportions.
And he's young, right? He's definitely, I mean, he's destined to win it, right?
He's
I mean,
in his 20s still. So there's a new, you know, changing of the guard with bodybuilding right now. You know, you had like a lot of the same guys. You know, you had the Phil Heats and the Kai Greens, and slowly these guys are changing over, you know, to these new breed of bodybuilders that are coming out. So I go to the show every year. You know, I've done commentating for the Olympia, and I do critique the Olympia, and I critique the Olympia competitors that they're not as good a condition as the bodybuilders when I competed.
Right.
And I didn't even want to compare myself because I don't know if you guys know, I was known to bring conditioning to bodybuilding. I was the first bodybuilder to have striated glutes and come in ultra conditioned, because the other guys were not. You know, they never showed their glutes because their ass was smooth. Mine was shredded. From that point, bodybuilders got bigger.
Frankie's had his ass shredded a few times.
In a different way.
That in there.
But and then it got into the era of, like, you know, the Dorian Yates and then the Ronnie Coleman, where they were also like shredded but much bigger. You had a Ronnie Coleman who was like almost 300 pounds when he competed. But these bodybuilders today, they're not getting as ripped or conditioned, and you know, I do a lot.
But they're bigger, right? They're just massive.
much bigger. Like you're looking at a Nick Walker, who's like 5'7" at 290 pounds walking around. He competes
It's like a circle.
I think he competes at what, 260?
260.
Right.
His arms are like my legs. You know? That's how big his arms are. And
in comparison, take like an Arnold Schwarzenegger, who's, you know, probably the most iconic figure in bodybuilding. He was over 6 foot.
He was 6'2" at 220 pounds.
Right. So much leaner.
And I competed at 5'8" at 220 pounds. Now guys 5'8" are competing at 260, 270.
That's got to be so much stress on the heart, no? Gotta be.
I think it is. I mean, you know,
are these guys like Nick Walker? Was he a 300-pound dude always, or?
No,
I saw a picture of him in his first show. Skinny.
Really?
He was a skinny guy.
Yeah.
When he did his first show, he was a skinny guy.
You wouldn't even know it's the same dude.
Yeah.
We'll pull up a side-by-side and put it up. But Nick Walker's first show, and when he just competed this year in Mr. Olympia. Now, he got beat. I don't know the guy's name, a little bit of an odd name, but the guy that won the show was Hadi. Deaf, right?
He's deaf.
That's
Hadi
amazing.
Chopin is from Iran, and what's different about him is he's really he has to come to the United States with a visa.
Right.
He can never come to this country because, as you know, we have issues with Iran. The year before that, he went into his 2 years ago, he went into the Olympia, got 3rd place on his first try, and that hasn't happened in a while.
Wow.
Then last year, he came in. No, excuse me, I made a mistake. 2 years ago, he came in 3rd. Then he comes back and he wins. He wins the show. Great bodybuilder. You know, I also criticized. I was showing a difference between Dorian's back and his back, and I don't know. Do you see that post that he did on that? There was almost 3,700 comments. Yeah, I had people agreeing with me, but then I had a lot of people disagreeing. Were basically disagreeing. A lot. You know, it seems to be like I was criticized, and to me, if you're going to be in your underwear on stage, you're going to be criticized.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And you're going to open the door for that.
But you know, I'm sitting there criticizing them, you know, for the benefit of the sport, not to be a jerk off. And they're
It's
like,
your job, though.
Yeah,
That's
they're
what you're
like,
supposed
what are
to
you
do.
talking about? You're over the hill.
Yeah.
You're just jealous.
You're gonna
you
get
can't
that.
compete no more.
You
blah, blah,
can't.
blah.
That stuff can't get to you, does it? Does it
No,
bother you?
I laugh at it. I'm like,
Yeah.
how come these guys, are talking like this? I go, you guys are pussies. You can't take criticism.
You were the top 1% in the entire world, probably even beyond that, and you're taking criticism from some, schlub in Ohio, that's
From
curling.
Ohio or Iran. How can you talk about our
Yeah,
God? I
yeah.
mean, you understand because he's Iran. He's right now the national hero.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what the guys that were
As
like,
he should be, man. He's a deaf guy who has things, not only the visa situation coming to America, the guy is deaf. And I heard he poses because he can feel the rhythm of the music, so he knows when to do his poses. I mean, that's pretty incredible.
Well, Lou Ferrigno was deaf.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right.
But
yes.
he is a phenomenal bodybuilder. I'm not going to, from the front, he looked amazing.
So his back is a little weak?
I would say because there was another guy who came second who was also his first try in the Olympia, Derek Lunsford, who
I saw
looked
that.
amazing.
Yeah.
Great back. Even him, he's not defined, but his massive back. Normally, they say the Olympia's always won from the back.
Yeah.
And that wasn't the case last year, but he was conditioned, great, body proportional, and that's why Hadi won. But it also showed that both the two first and second place guys were not the biggest guys. They were probably like, we talked about Nick Walker being 260, 270. Those guys were probably in the 220s, 230s,
Yeah.
but they just had better proportions, shape. They look great, the two guys.
Well, you're talking about size. I mean, one of my favorite bodybuilders of all time is Lee Priest, and he's a little dude, but
Massive.
just probably genetically the best physique I've ever seen, in my opinion. I'm not in the sport. I don't know what I'm talking about. Would you agree or disagree with that statement?
He was a great bodybuilder. I don't know if you've seen him now in his 50s.
He still looks amazing.
He's
Yeah.
ripped
Amazing.
and shredded and in
Yeah.
great shape. And he's one of the genetic freaks. Like for me, it wasn't about genetics. It was about just hard work and building my body and really being consistent in the gym.
Yep.
Doing everything perfect for me to be able to get the placing that I did, because there was a lot of guys genetically better than me, but I was able to beat them. You're talking about someone like a Lee Priest. That was a guy who was genetically gifted, but also he did train hard. But he had a massive arm. I mean, that guy still has, if you look at him, like 22-inch arms,
Massive.
and 5
forearms too. Yeah.
4'2".
Yeah. He's not very tall. Yeah.
Yeah.
Frankie, you'd feel tall around Lee Priest.
Yeah.
He's not.
I
did his podcast. Oh, great dude. Just I like him. I like everything about him.
And he's
Very
very real.
transplant,
Very
real.
real.
Yeah. He doesn't mix words about anything.
No.
Says exactly. exactly how he feels because he just fucking straight up says it.
But he's a good guy,
no
yeah.
apologies. Seems like a very good dude. I don't, of course, know him, but
Yeah.
how about local guys on a smaller circuit, like Christian Coronado, for example? Are you familiar with him?
I'm not really familiar
No.
with him, no.
It's a local guy, friend of ours, friend of
Really?
Frankie and I's,
Yeah.
owns
Coronado's
Coronado's
Oh,
Cuisine.
yeah, I get his meals.
Yeah.
I
Do
know.
you? Yeah.
Redheaded.
Yes,
Yes.
yeah. But
Good meals.
Yep. Yeah. Good dude.
Yeah.
Now, Dorian Yates, he said, you referenced him when you're talking about his back. He's known for a big back, right?
He was known for just having a massive back. What he brought into the sport is like I brought in definition when I came into the sport
Right.
in the late 80s, early 90s. He brought in size. From the point when Lee Haney won the show, he was 240. Dorian comes in afterwards and then competes at 270, 280, 300 pounds. He brought just a whole new dimension.
Called him
to
the
body-
eighth wonder of the world, right?
Wasn't he
Yeah.
really big in science too? Right? He brought like some science. I thought I heard them talking about
He
that.
also, a lot of the things like I posted, I had a log of everything I did with me eating and how I trained. He did the same thing. Everything he did was logged, so he
very
knew exactly.
systematic. Yeah.
He also followed something that was called the heavy duty system. He followed a Mike Menzer system where you train to your maximum intensity on, you do your warm up, maybe 1 or 2 sets, and then you go to failure on that last set. And it's like heavy weight that you go to failure where you can't even move.
Yeah.
And
that
that's how
muscle
he
breakdown.
trained.
Yeah.
Now, what it also did to him is he tore his quad, he tore his bicep, he tore his tricep. doing that
Now,
type-
so there's a guy that lifted really heavy,
Yeah.
but today I follow him on Instagram. He's still active.
shape.
He still looks great. And then there's a guy
A lot
like
smaller,
Ronnie.
though, but he lost a lot of weight,
All
right?
the guys. Nobody can maintain that. Nobody.
you can't.
But then there's guys like Ronnie Coleman who obviously trained. I mean, unbelievably hard.
Yeah.
And the man can't even walk today. So what do you attribute that to? I mean, you just talked about a guy that trains extremely, extremely hard and heavy, and then you got a guy like Ronnie Coleman who also did the same thing. Is it just he just pushed that much harder and then?
Well, he was also injured when he was competing in his Olympia time. I remember when I spoke to him and he was winning the Olympia, and he's like, I have a herniated disc in my back, and he was training with crazy weights, doing like bent over rows, with like 500 pounds, and doing. I started doing walking lunges. I was like the first bodybuilder to do walking lunges, and I would use 135, maybe 185. This guy was doing like 405 for walking lunges, in the parking lot. Just crazy.
That famous video of him in the parking lot.
Just crazy. And he could pick the weight up, put it on his back, and then walk with the weight.
Yeah.
I just think that he pushed himself during the end of his career. Then he had surgeries done after he was done, and he was still training.
Right.
I heard he was literally had some, I think probably back surgery, and he's literally in the hospital bed the next day doing curls,
lifting weights. Yeah.
He might have like something with his where his nerves don't feel pain or something.
No, he definitely feels pain, bro. You see his documentary? He's hurting so bad.
Painkillers
all day long. Yeah, it's true.
It's sad. It's sad. His documentary, and he's a legend, and everybody. You might even been on there. Everybody, I think you were.
Yeah, I was on there. Yeah,
everybody's paying homage to him, like all the bodybuilders, but. The guy is a shell of the man he used to be, and it's just because he beat his body to death. It's sad. It's sad to watch.
And you know what he said? He said,
I would live more.
I would do it again.
Yeah,
because I wish I had 800 another time.
Yeah.
One more rep.
He said something about that he did this squat.
Yeah, squat. I think a squat.
It was like 800 pounds.
Yeah.
And he goes, I could have done 2 more reps.
Yeah.
I didn't do it.
Yeah.
And he didn't.
No quitting that man at all.
Yeah.
At all. That's crazy.
No, again, there was a guy with great genetics, but then work ethic was at another level.
Right.
And that's what got that guy to be a great bodybuilder.
Yeah.
To be Mr. Olympia.
But I mean, that's common for every avenue, right? It's work ethic.
Exactly.
These guys could have talent, but you don't work hard.
But then you talk about a guy, great genetics, right? But he competed a lot. He actually, I don't learn this only from the documentary. I only know this, but competed in a bunch. I think he was in a bunch of Mr. Olympias and wasn't even top 10. I don't think he was top 15, and he was getting frustrated, and he almost quit the sport. And then, finally, he came back and really just, what, he win it 7 times?
8 times.
But then you take guys, like we were just talking about the top 2 guys this year, right? They've only been actually competed in the Olympia, what, the second year?
That was Hottie's second time.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That a guy like Ronnie Coleman could try. How many times did he try before he placed?
Listen, I competed against Ronnie and beat Ronnie.
Yeah.
I was on my way out, and he was coming up.
That's what I'm saying.
And then he just kept improving more and more and more.
But guys that just get their IBBF card or not haven't had it long are now placing runner up and first.
I mean, it doesn't happen. I'm just seeing when we were talking earlier about changing of the guard. Right now, that's happening where you have,
like old guys kind of fading out.
Yeah,
a little bit.
old guys are fading out. The new guys are coming in. Guys like Big Ramy, who won the Olympia, he now came in 5th after. I mean, he got 2 seconds, and then he gets a 5th. So what happened to his physique? He didn't improve. But then there was a lot of bodybuilders that were competing in the Olympia over and over and over. But now it seems like these new guys are coming up like
faster,
Derek,
quicker, right?
Hottie, Derek,
Nick.
These are all guys that are coming up that weren't really in the Olympia too long, but they're all coming like changing. It looks like a changing of the guard in the sport,
right?
Because these older guys are going to get out.
Now, sorry, Frank, I keep cutting you off. Go ahead.
Is the training different?
I mean, I witnessed a lot of the training. I believed in like really intense training to failure, drop sets, giant sets, slow-mo reps. I do every single way to stimulate the muscle. Some of these guys, and I just got criticized on that because I say the new bodybuilders don't train as hard. But they do. There's some guys, like I see Nick Walker, the weights he uses are like insane. Yeah. I don't know if you saw some of the lifts he does.
He's coming on the show. I talked to him. He said he'd love to come on. Yeah, right before the Olympia.
Really?
He said, let me get through the Olympia. He's going to come on. Yeah. So.
Yeah, he does some massive weight. I have great respect, for him. Like I've seen him train, but it's funny. I made a comment about that. The new wave of bodybuilders don't train as hard as when we train. So what they do is they put 2 of the guys who train the hardest.
Yeah, they put him.
They put Nick Walker and they put Hottie Chopin, which both train really hard, and they make that that I made that comment on Generation Iron. So I was like, not those two guys.
Yeah.
You know, there are exceptions.
Of course.
for sure.
But you asked me that question. I say generally what's going on is it seems like a lot of bodybuilders, we train, it was during that time, like, you know, pushing like on a bench press. Some of these guys are afraid to do bench press because they can tear their pec.
Right.
So they're doing other exercises, machine presses,
Like Smith machines?
flies, not even Smith machine.
Hammer strength.
Hammer strength,
Yeah, yeah.
or using any of the other machines to train their chest instead of using like basic, you know, barbell and, you know, barbell dumbbells or, you know, Smith machine.
Right.
And so because they don't want to get hurt. I tore my pec because of that reason, because I just pushed myself to the limit, and that's what happened. So the guys are getting smarter in their training. They have this thing called bro training where people are training one body part every day. When I trained my body in 3 days, and I did it twice a week. So my whole body was trained, you know, I trained my whole body twice, 6 days a week. And I would train morning and night. Guys are not doing that
would you
as
do
much.
cardio and strength?
No, I would do
Like a push-pull?
I didn't even, Frankie, I didn't even do cardio.
Really?
So,
Oh, wow.
so one day, say I'm doing chest and then back. The next day I would do shoulders and then arms.
Yeah, so a push-pull every day.
And then the next day I would do legs and then and ancillary body parts. On top of that, cardio, and on top of that, posing.
Wow.
And doing that twice.
Posing's a big part of it.
It was.
It was.
Here we go.
That's another part of the criticism. But I feel that is changing as well. Because guys, old school guys like me are making these comments about posing. You're seeing now the bodybuilders starting to pose more. They used to judge the posing round. And they stopped judging the posing round, which I think they should. You know, but you can't really see if some skinny guy has a great routine and some guy who looks great. You can't give the guy with the skinny guy, you know, giving him first. But if two guys are equal and one guy can pose better,
that should
they should give him the nod.
Yeah.
And that's how it should work. But they were not really practicing their poses. I would practice hours a day. On top of it, I think it also conditions you to get harder.
Sure.
Because you're doing all
Flexing
that training
your
with
muscles,
weights.
right? Yeah.
But if you're flexing, you actually get your muscles to get harder and more denser. And I believe that was one of the things that helped me get in condition to be in better shape.
Yeah.
Like you know, new age. I'm an old fighter, right? So new age fighters, like, you're always talking about overtraining. Like, that's the new thing. Like, these new kids like, you don't train hard enough to overtrain. Is that like a theme in bodybuilding too?
This is what I'm saying about bro training. They're going, we don't want to overtrain, so we're going to train our body in 5 days, doing one body part a day, and we're going to train that body part. But they're not even overtraining it because they're not training hard enough to get where I'm saying, how was I able to train my whole body in 3 days and repeat that and do it 6 days a week, you know, and get ready for a show and still gain muscle. But I'm seeing that training slowly come back. It's funny how I think goes in cycles, you know, and it's happening again. But I mean, you still got these young kids that believe in, like you said, overtraining. You're overtraining. You know, I never believed that unless I was tired, like couldn't get up. But if I was going to the gym every day and I was like psyched to train, you're going to train.
So they tell you, oh, don't burn your kid out. Well, he fucking likes to do it. How you burning him out? You know?
Exactly.
Now, we talked about the athletes a little bit and some of the changes there. How about behind the scenes? Like, I heard some things about the Olympia this year. You know, obviously it probably changes a little bit over the years with new ownership and things like that. But I heard, like, the back was so crowded, guys didn't have room to even, like, practice posing and working out. Does it seem, are you involved enough with it where you see any of that or hearing any of that through the grapevine?
I've been backstage. Actually, last year I wasn't backstage. I went to just enjoy the show. I think the people now running the show, I think they're I can't recall the name of the new owner.
Yeah.
But he really loves the sport.
I forget his name too. Now it escapes me.
And I can't think of him right now. It's really bad. But he really loves the sport. Before that, you know, Joe Weider loved the sport, but then another guy, David Pecker, bought it, who owned AMI. That's all the, you know, national what's the name of the magazines? All the, you know, the rag magazines.
Yeah,
he owned all,
Enquirer and all that
National
stuff.
Enquirer and all those magazines. He owned all those. He was the owner of the Mr. Olympia.
Oh, wow.
But now, Weider obviously was a bodybuilder. He trained. Was the I feel weird saying it, but was Pecker?
No,
he was just a money. Isn't the guy that owns it now? Doesn't he have a huge financial backing?
Huge financial.
Right?
He's He had to do something with aeronautics. He's like very, very wealthy.
Yeah. So is it a money making opportunity, or does he love the sport? You know,
he got the Olympia right at COVID.
Yeah.
He ran the show, lost his shirt, ran it again year after that, still lost money. Last year, I think they may have made money.
Yeah.
It was the week before Christmas. Which, why would you run a show the week before Christmas?
Yeah.
But they ran it in Vegas, and I was told that Vegas is booked like 5 years in advance.
Yeah.
So they couldn't get, normally the show's in October or early November. So they're moving the show back to Orlando, where it's going to be the beginning of November. And then after that, I think it's going to go back to Las Vegas.
Okay.
I mean, bodybuilders are freaks. We're known to be freaks. And what's a place to have freak shows? Or in Vegas.
Vegas.
I
Yeah.
think.
Gotta be Vegas.
I mean, having it at Orlando is okay for for your kids, but
Yeah.
I don't believe the Olympia should be in Orlando.
I
It should
agree.
be in Vegas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing like
more
going to
prestige,
UFC
more
fight
prestige,
in Vegas
yeah.
too.
Yeah, like even UFC in Vegas.
Yeah.
You don't want it in
different.
Orlando,
Right.
And that's the way I believe. But I think that's why they ran it a week before. But even though they ran it a week before, it was still really.
So they did have it during COVID.
They had it.
2020 and 2021.
They had it.
They did.
In COVID, and because the COVID restrictions were not as strict in Florida,
Right.
they ran it in Florida, so nobody had to wear masks. They could have people in the watching
yeah.
it.
See, now I thought the only sports entity that figured it out at all was UFC. I thought Dana White was like the only guy, so they figured out a way
Yeah,
to
they
have it
figured
there
it
because
out.
all other sports were done.
Yeah, so
You know?
they ran it.
Yeah.
Why did the UFC run it in Florida?
They did. Yep. They had
So they had
show
to
in
run it
Florida.
only in
Yep.
Florida. So that's what they did with the Olympia. But
Well, they were doing mostly Fight Island, but they did have one or two in
No,
Florida.
very
couple?
early. Very
Yeah,
early
they
when
did,
everybody
yep,
shut
yep.
down. They Jacksonville. They put a. They said, "Hey,
shows,
come
yeah.
Jacksonville."
That's right.
Put it on
That's
board.
right.
So that's what he did. He ran it in Florida 2 years in a row.
Yep.
But even though it was right in the heart of COVID, it was still not that many people were there.
Right.
And he ran this beautiful show, because I told you this guy loves the show, loves bodybuilding. He even brought up the prize monies, for all the bodybuilders. I mean, you got to know right now there's so many divisions in bodybuilding. When I competed, it was just a men's division, and then they had just women's, division. Now you have men's bodybuilding, men's classic,
Physique.
212, physique, classic physique. That's 5 divisions just in the men's. Then you have women's. You have bikini. You have figure. You have fitness. You have wellness.
Wait, what is wellness? I never heard of that one.
Wellness is a new category.
What
It's
is
very
that?
interesting. Wellness are bikini chicks with big asses and big legs.
Oh wow. Okay.
It was basically it originated in Brazil.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Naturals. They're naturals right out the gate. Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
and the top 5 winners were all Brazilian.
Obviously, you can be altered by steroids. Can you do like BBLs and stuff and compete? Can you get like what are they called? They call
Brazilian
it
butt lifts.
yeah, Brazilian butt.
These girls
Can you do that and compete?
Yeah, these girls are doing like implants, but they're also building the muscle. So now,
right, now it makes it even look
so if
more
you have
eccentric.
something underneath and then you're building the muscle, it accentuates it even more.
Wow.
But wellness is really getting popular because it's a bikini chick.
Yeah.
It's not this real muscle chick.
Yeah.
But then she's got big legs
Yeah.
and just glutes are like crazy developed. Because bikini, all it was about was like a butt, really small waist, skinny. They were basically skinny.
What's her name? Vivi Winkler, I think. Vivi Winkler, Brazilian. She's got one of the best butts in the game.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know what she
She
competes
wellness
in,
or
but
bikini?
I have no clue.
Well, the girl,
No
if you
clue.
look at the girl who does, the girl who won the Olympia, she was actually she was like 36, 37, and she's got 2 kids, and she looked amazing. They were all former bikini girls that switched to this wellness division.
Okay.
And they did nothing in bikini because their legs were too big.
Right.
Bikini girls can't have big legs, but these girls can have big legs and big, glutes.
Gotcha.
Wow.
Gotcha.
Did you ever see the documentary or Killer Amy?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I just watched that. It was
Do
great.
you know I knew Ray McNeil?
Did you?
I
think. Same era.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So I knew him very well. I knew about his wife. And when I knew him, he was like man, my wife's crazy.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
it was, like,
yeah,
it was
yeah.
more about the wife was crazy and he was trying to get away from her, and that was really the truth. But then,
Oh, really? The documentary kind of makes it seem like he was this abusive asshole.
Yeah,
you
but
know?
she did jail time.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah,
true.
but I mean,
But didn't his kids also say?
No, they were her kids. They weren't his kids.
Oh,
They were her
weren't?
kids.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So they
yeah,
said
you're right.
that-
You're right.
So I know of him, but I didn't know like deep into like his personal life. But I had friends that were really good friends with him, and they said that whole documentary was a lie.
Really?
For what happened? I mean, what she was saying was a lie.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, he didn't beat the kids.
Right.
You know, all the stuff that they said.
Wow.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jesus. What'd she end up doing for a time?
She got out of jail now, but I think she
She's
was
out
in-
now. Yeah, she's
Yeah,
out.
she did murder, and she's
don't-
out of jail.
Yeah.
She don't look so good anymore. She let herself go. Who was the other guy? It was another guy. Probably, I would guess, somewhere in your heyday. He was a Vegas guy, I believe. Him and his girlfriend. She was a
Oh,
competitive.
Craig Titus.
Craig Titus.
Craig
they
Titus
they
was
had
another
a girl that they were involved. They did a lot of drugs together, had a lot of threesomes together. There was another girl that was kind of like worked for them or whatever, but attractive girl, and she ended up overdosing in like a sex crazed orgy or some shit like that.
Jeez.
They drove her out into the desert after she was dead, put her in the trunk of a car, then drove her to the desert and set the car on fire.
I thought he killed her.
Did he? I
thought he killed-
I think they could.
Oh, he
wait,
killed
could
her.
they figure out because their body was burned?
Yeah.
I think he said that she died. They were all doing drugs.
Yeah.
His story was she OD'd. He didn't know what to do. He freaked out. But then I think the other version of it is that
the
he like strangled her.
autopsy showed that he
Yeah.
strangled her.
Wow.
Did you know him?
Yeah, I knew him very well.
did know him,
I
yeah.
I wasn't great friends with him because he was a little bit too crazy for me.
Yeah.
You know, I went out with that guy, and you know, after the Olympia when they had the after parties, and he was there, and he was a little bit too crazy for me.
yeah.
Craig Titus. But him and his wife, like you said, they had this assistant
Yep.
who was their business assistant, but also doing threesomes and all this other
jeez.
crap. But what happened is, I think she was stealing from them.
I heard something.
And
like
that's
that.
what
Yeah,
happened.
yeah,
So
yeah,
she was
yeah,
stealing from him. And so then Craig killed her, and I don't know, he brought her out to the desert and then put the car on fire and said his car was missing. But then they saw on film on, you know, the Walmart.
Right,
how
buying gas.
They were buying
cans.
gas
Yeah,
cans and all of that.
yeah.
And then the guy ran away all over to Boston, and they caught him there. But but she got out. I can't remember his wife's name, but she's out of prison right now. But he's still in prison. I don't think he's going to get out of prison.
No, I saw a video with him fighting with the guards, the prison guard. There was one video of him where he was still pretty big. You know, it was early on. I don't think he's big now because obviously can't run gear in prison. But yeah, I read something about you when you first competed. There was only like 5 pros or something, and that now it seems like they give out pro cards much. Now they give them out much easier. Right?
When I turned pro, basically you had to win the nationals.
Yeah.
Or the Mr. America, and then you had to go to the World Championships. The World Championships were what's called the Mr. Universe. That show was basically all the national winners of all the different countries. And when I competed, there was like, I don't know, 150 countries competing in it. And that winner of that class would then win that and then get your pro card. So back when I turned pro, there's only 5 pros.
I read
in the
that.
whole world.
That's
In the
unbelievable.
whole world. So when I turned pro, it meant something, which was really, you know, for me it was really cool because I moved to California. I lived in California a couple of years to turn pro, and you know I was an unknown. As soon as I got that pro card, of course, then it was in every magazine. First exhibition I got, and how bodybuilders made money is we travel around the world. My first trip was to Tahiti. They had me do a guest posing in Tahiti.
Cool.
So I went to Tahiti, and I remember getting off a plane in New Zealand and someone going, "Wow, Rich Gaspari, I want to get your autograph." And I'm like, wow, I'm here in New Zealand. Somebody recognized
awesome.
me
That's
in the
cool,
magazine.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be able to tell you who turned pro. I can't even tell you who the national winner is because there are just so many bodybuilders that are turning pro.
It's a business now, right?
Yeah,
that's why the reason.
Well, just think about it. Every single pro card has to pay annual fees. So if you can increase the amount of bodybuilders that are paying annual fees, you're going to be making more money. So like you said, it is a business. The NPC, they were doing it with the NPC, which was the feeder to the IFBB. Once, Weider died and they had this war, I don't know if you know this, there was a war between Jim Mannion and another guy, Rafael Santonga, that's in Spain. Basically, Jim took over, and then his division was the division, or his organization is the one the Olympia recognized.
Gotcha.
So that became the top organization.
Gotcha.
So the other guy lost the organization, his organization. He still runs it, but it's not as prestigious because you can't get to the Olympia, which is the most prestigious show
Gotcha.
to win. But doing all this, they had a lot of fees, for all the athletes. So I guess they decided to do that to the international, realm. So now every single person that wins, say Mr. Italy or Mr. England, they turn pro. So as soon as you win that country, you're a pro.
Yeah.
You're a pro. So now you have hundreds, maybe 150, 200 pros.
Right.
And the fees to pay is very high.
Yeah. Wow.
So I always say, like, when someone says to me, "I'm an IPB pro," I'm like,
Hey, so
"What the
what?
fuck is that?"
Yeah.
Unless you're not-
you can say it. It would still be impressive to me, but you can say that.
But when I say, "Would you place in the Olympia?"
Yeah.
Then you can say, if you place top 5 in the Olympia, then you're somebody.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. In your opinion, who's the greatest bodybuilder of all time? If you had to pick one.
Well, the two bodybuilders that you mentioned before, Ronnie Coleman, I think is one of the greatest. But I really if you want to say who's the greatest bodybuilder of all time, who brought bodybuilding to the masses, you want to say Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh yeah.
That to me is the greatest bodybuilder, because what he did is he turned bodybuilding, which was this cultish sport that nobody knew about, in pumping iron, mainstream, did movies, and he made it big. If you want to know who's the greatest bodybuilder when it comes to being who's the best body, I would say Ronnie Coleman. But to me, the best Mr. Olympia was Lee Haney. Lee Haney was my competitor.
The guy that beat you, right? Yeah.
The guy who beat me, and he won 8 Olympias, and that Ronnie tied Lee Haney. But here's the difference. Ronnie came back afterwards, tried to get 9, and he lost. Then he tried again, and he placed even lower. Lee Haney did 8 Olympias at 32, retired. No injuries. Guy's healthy, in great shape. So I look at him, and I'm like, this guy, his first try came in 3rd, and then he won the Olympia, never lost a show. We talked about Ronnie, that he lost a lot of shows, then won the Olympia. But, I say, like, when it comes to, like, the most winningest bodybuilder, Lee Haney just went in, won all the shows, left.
Another guy you mentioned, Dorian Yates, he won, how many did he win? Like 6 or 7, right?
He won 6 Olympias.
6, yeah.
And he was just too beat up at the end. Like I said, he tore his bicep, tore his thigh.
I guess you're right, hands down, Arnold. And Bill Burr's got a whole skit about him. Bill Burr is probably one of my favorite comedians, but how a guy that could barely speak English, not only did he win Mr. Olympia, the guy fucking, a guy that could barely speak English went on to become this huge, bigger than life movie star, and then the guy becomes the fucking governor of California.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's pretty impressive.
It is impressive to see a guy. Just you gotta give him kudos of what he was able to do. And he still loves training. And I mean, the guy's now in his mid to late 60s, 70s. I'm sorry.
70s,
It looks. He's still
Now,
trains,
what was
amazing.
you could tell me, wasn't there some deal with him and Gold's Gym where he was kind of the face of Gold's Gym for a while, and then didn't he make them take all his stuff down? I heard something about that years ago.
He was part of World Gym.
Was it World?
World Gym.
I thought it was Gold. What's the famous one out there in California? Was that Gold?
There's
Muscle
two.
Beach?
Venice Beach? Gold?
Well, Muscle Beach is just some pit that guys train. And they train there and do photos and video shoots.
Right.
But the two main gyms were Gold's Gym and World's Gym. Now, World's Gym was owned by Joe Gold. Joe Gold started Gold's Gym. And then what happened was he sold the gym, and then, I don't know, he did other crap. He comes back. He wanted to be in the gym business. He started World Gym. That's the gym where Arnold trained at World Gym.
Gotcha.
Now, something happened where Arnold was part of World Gym.
Yeah.
And then I guess he had a falling out. Joe Gold died. And then he had to take his name out and everything with the World Gym.
Okay.
I mean, he still trains right now. He trains at Gold's Gym now.
Okay.
The current Gold's Gym.
Arnold
does.
Okay.
But he was part of the World Gym.
Gotcha. So there was nothing like that. I made that up in my head then. I thought there was something where he made whatever gym. Well, I thought it was Gold's, but maybe it was World. Remove all his pictures from the walls and,
I don't know if they
like
did.
he wasn't getting royalties or something. I forget what it was.
I don't know if that happened. I know there was a gym chain in Canada called Arnold Gym.
Okay.
And they were using his image, and he did sue them for doing that.
Gotcha.
Because I went to the gym, the Arnold Gym, and it had nothing to do with Arnold, but they called it Arnold Gym. And and it had pictures of Arnold, and Arnold did sue that chain of gyms.
Gotcha. Maybe that's what I read.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes a little more sense.
From Different Strokes, Jim.
Yeah.
He's talking about Willis.
Yeah, Arnold.
Yeah, no, Arnold he's pretty, what he's done, especially being a foreigner that barely spoke, the English language. He's really done a lot. He married a Kennedy.
Yeah, married a Kennedy.
Pretty amazing. Now,
obviously, we got history. Obviously, when I was the UFC champ, you guys were sponsoring me.
Yeah.
And you were obviously your company is so well known throughout the whole world. You were one of the first supplement companies, right? Would you say that?
I mean, I wasn't one of the first supplement
one of the
companies.
first mainstream ones, though.
Yeah, I tried to bring the brand mainstream. We're trying again, but when I signed you, I mean, we wanted to get more into not just bodybuilding but other athletes, and that's why we signed UFC guys. We were the first to sign Ronda Rousey.
Yep. Oh wow!
But we were trying to get into that other market of sports. I mean, to get bodybuilding products out there or fitness products out there. But yeah, you were great to have you part of the brand.
That was awesome. That was a good run.
There seems to be a connection with bodybuilding and sexuality, like almost every sport now, honestly. If you're athletic at all, I know a lot of the UFC girls are doing like OnlyFans now, but you see what they call them, FBB porn or whatever, female bodybuilders. Like a lot of dudes are into that shit, like into getting tossed around. It's usually a little dude that's into getting manhandled by a big huge bodybuilder chick. Like it's actually a category now on Pornhub. You know what I mean?
That's been going on.
Not that I look
forever, right?
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
been going
call
on.
that something.
Yeah.
Like,
We were talking
Killer
about
Amy. Killer Amy was doing it.
That's what
Right,
she was
yeah,
doing.
Yeah.
She would wrestle people
Right.
in a hotel room, get paid for that, and it was happening before that.
Oh yeah.
Well, even on the guy side of it, there was a huge
That's what he's
dude.
interested in.
No, let me tell you. All right, so there was this monster. I don't remember his name that used to go to my gym. I just go to a little small gym here in TR, Tom's River, KS Fitness, but I've been there forever. And there was this absolute monster. He just moved to the area. He was training there, and he was obviously on a ton of gear. And he was a big dude. He wasn't like a little dude. He was 6 foot plus, probably weighed like 275, huge dude. And I'd see people talking to him. He seemed friendly enough. So one day I was like, bro, like, what the fuck? Give me the secret, bro. You know what I mean? Like, what's the secret sauce? I mean, I'm in Jersey. I know a little bit about steroids, but this guy's running something that's crazy. So he's like, growth, bro. He's like, I didn't get big till I started doing growth. Like, growth is the key. I'm like, all right, well, where do you get it? I know you can get like China growth and underground shit or whatever. Yeah. He's like, bro, honestly, he's like, get it from gay dudes. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, gay dudes love big guys because we're big jack dudes, so they get an abundance of it because they get it for treatment of AIDS, right? It's AIDS.
Well, guys with AIDS, yeah.
So you're not only a gay guy, you're a gay guy that has AIDS.
Right. But there's some sort of, he was telling me there's some sort of trade out there where they'll exchange like pictures of them or whatever for their excess that they don't need because they're over prescribed it. And he said you'd be amazed at how many dudes do this. So there is a crazy connection with just bodybuilders in general, guys and girls. And, I mean, you guys are, not you personally, but they're you guys are like goddesses to people. So I'm sure people pay big money for explicit stuff,
I had stories when I lived in California, and listen, I'm proud to say I've never done anything.
Gay for pay or
that. But a lot of guys did. A lot of guys that were like, listen, I busted my ass in California, was personal training, did whatever I did to make money to be able to live and eat. And there was guys that were trying to take the easy way out, and they were like doing this gay for pay crap. They were getting their steroids from gay doctors that were giving it to them.
So that's not a made up fallacy.
That's 30 years.
That's like the best growth you can. That's like human grade growth, right? So that's like the best.
What do you mean?
I heard the same thing about getting growth.
So the best growth that you can get would be
gay guys?
No. Basically would be doctor prescribed.
All right,
it's not shit shipped in from China that's made in some lab somewhere or something. You know what I mean? So Wuhan.
Is that why you gain weight? Is that why you gain weight?
Not good weight. Not good weight, pal. If I took my shirt off, you'd be like, no way that dude's doing growth. So, but yeah, a lot of I would say probably more so on the women's side make extra money by becoming fetish girls, right? Like they're big people creepy dudes want to see them naked, right?
Exactly. Yeah. There's a lot of, I mean, you got to think about that. If you're not a top athlete, you're not making money,
right?
And if you're trying to do this and you're trying to make money, they go to other different resorts to make money. Like you just mentioned OnlyFans. That's
huge.
Probably huge, right?
Huge.
Yep,
I mean, everywhere women are being OnlyFans.
Yeah.
I think for me, and I've never subscribed on OnlyFans, but the attraction there, and I follow what's his name on Barstool Sports. Shit, what's his name? I asked him to come on the show. He said he's going to come on. Big, heavy set dude. Anyway, he interviews nothing but OnlyFans girls. The attraction there is that she's not a porn star. You're not what you're talking to, like the girl next door. So it's kind of like it's to me it's more appealing, even though I've never subscribed to an OnlyFans. But to me, it's got more of an attraction than watching a porn star. You know what I mean?
So you like home videos? Do you like that category?
Amateurs, like amateur
videos.
Yeah, but that's porn. That's still porn.
Well,
these girls aren't they're not really doing porn. They're kind of just like undressing for the camera and acting seductive.
That's porn, bro.
Well, I mean, they're not getting fucking railed out.
But what they're also doing is they're doing things that the person asked them to do.
Right,
okay,
right.
So it's even more personalized.
Yeah, right.
And again, let me make this clear. I do not subscribe to any OnlyFans, but I can get the appeal of it.
I know people that do it, and I know what they do, and I don't subscribe to it as well. Yeah. But they get people that subscribe to it that ask these girls to do certain things, and the girls do it, and they get extra money for it. I mean, a lot of these girls, as we all know, like they're very high on social media, TikTok, Instagram. They have some of these girls like 1 million followers.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And that's how they then use that parlayed into OnlyFans.
I think Paige Van Zandt said she makes more off OnlyFans than she does from fighting.
And that's Paige.
Yeah.
She's probably the best looking girl in MMA though, right? So it makes kind of sense.
No,
who else?
You're
gonna get in trouble. You gotta get in trouble.
There's a few out there.
I'm trying to think. Now after the show, you got to tell me. I knew a girl, not personally, but we were friends on Instagram, and I can remember. This is maybe like pre-COVID. I won't blast her out there, but I remember her doing very attractive girl, like in a relationship. I think married with a kid, and I remember her, like they were struggling. You could tell they were like struggling a little bit financially. And I remember her with her son. She wasn't with him when she's doing this selfie video, but she's kind of running around in the driveway or whatever. And she says, all these girls out there making all this money doing this OnlyFans. She's like, I just wish I could be like that and sell my soul. And I just, I'd like to live a better life or whatever. I'm kind of paraphrasing here. Fast forward like 3 months later, guess who's got an OnlyFans? You know what I mean? It's crazy. So.
I guess it's too hard. It's almost like, during the day, like with strippers, they get used to making that money.
Right.
And then,
it's quick cash.
Yeah.
But now, like I see fighters are doing OnlyFans, but I think they're trying to market it differently.
Really?
Where like you're really like you go hit up a fighter and say, "Give me lessons" or something like that. I don't think it's sexual.
No, like Sean Brady. I can't imagine.
Or even Cafaro.
Yeah. Or Diego Sanchez has one too.
Yeah.
I can't imagine those dudes are doing any, like fucking, hey, take your shirt off and rub your nipple. No way Brady would ever do that. So what I think it is
more personalized.
It's I
think that's how it was originally supposed to be, OnlyFans.
Yeah.
And then they seen it started,
going sexual.
Going sexual, and then obviously it was killing it. So they're like, all right, I guess this is the way we're going.
Yeah. But you're probably, like you're saying, these fighters are then, if they're giving them tips, personalized tips, maybe you're going to do one.
No, I don't know.
Listen, you're financially okay. I'm giving a hypothetical here. You're not hurting for money at all. But let's say things were tight, things were tough. Would you do a non-porn one to make money? Non-porn, just like personal content of you hitting speed bags.
I mean, if it was, I do a Cameo. I don't like doing them. I do that. You know what I mean? So I guess I would. It's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, basically, it's a cameo. Really, it's kind of a cameo. Yeah. I didn't think of it that way. Yeah, that's true. Yep. Yeah. You know what Cameo is, Rich? Do you do that?
That's a new one.
Cameo is basically where it's pretty big now, but you can if you have any sort of notoriety at all or you're famous in any way, you can sign up for this thing called Cameo.
I have Cameo.
You do have it. You do have it. Okay. Yeah. So do you do a lot of it?
Like you give somebody happy birthday.
Yeah, it's like happy birthdays. Exactly.
Train hard.
Yes. Let's go. Yeah.
What am I talking about? I have Cameo.
Yeah, they find
You're pretty
ways
busy
to-
with it, man. I remember I was with you one day.
Sometimes
You
It's hit or
opened it
miss.
up one day. You're like, holy shit! I got like 7 of them in here in the bank to do. You know
It's
what I
hit
mean?
or miss though.
Mine is too. Mine's
Yeah.
very hit or miss.
I
Yeah.
do. I do. I have times. Sometimes I have like 5, 6, 7, and
Yeah.
then I don't have it
Yeah,
for a while.
for months. Yeah,
And
yeah,
then I
yeah,
have it
yeah,
again.
exactly.
Like I haven't had a Cameo in a while.
Yeah. Dry spells with that one.
And then I don't even pay attention to the money. Then one time I was saying,
Oh wow,
Holy
I got
crap,
some-
I got all this money
yeah,
here.
it's not bad.
I did the
Let me
same
pull-
thing. Yeah.
Let me pull it out.
Exactly.
I forgot because it's through my management, and I just kind of forgot about it. And I was doing all these Cameo. One time I was getting like 1 a day every day for like 2 months, and I forgot. I did the same thing, and then it was like the end of the year, and my management was like, "Hey, we just realized we didn't pay you for your cameos. We owe you like whatever $3,500." And I was like, "Send me the check." You know what I mean? So
You need to set up in
Yeah.
your bank account.
yeah, I should. Yeah. Yep.
Cool.
I'm an idiot. So, Rich, what are you doing now, man? Obviously, you still own Gaspari Nutrition.
Still with
I
Gaspari
see you're
Nutrition.
branching out. You sent me some new supplements, some
Ageless.
the Ageless, the Brain Booster, right?
Yes.
I see.
mean,
you're-
listen, I'm getting now older.
Yep.
And there's a lot of guys that are like myself that are older that want to stay in shape, that still train. I still train 5 days a week. Love training. I'm never going to not train unless I'm, crippled. But
That's this guy.
But I'm not crippled. I'm in great shape.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any injuries, and I love, I just love just the way you would still love training. So I made a brand, one, bringing down inflammation, because as we age, we have inflammation. We talked about, I gave you a product called Brain Booster. As we age, we don't think as clearly. We got, brain fog. I have another product for the prostate. I have another product for the heart. Collagen bars. So it's just a product line more towards the older person that wants to continue to stay in shape and be active. I mean, it's aging is not about just getting old, but
gracefully,
aging gracefully and having still a quality of life.
Sure.
But I'm sure these supplements, though, like the brain boost, probably wouldn't be bad for a younger person anyway.
Oh
though,
no,
right?
there's no problem in being
Ahead of the
younger
game.
and using like a brain boosters, because they're all nutraceuticals to help the brain. I mean, your brain is like another muscle that needs certain nutraceuticals. But like I told you, inflammation is like a killer.
The killer for everything.
For
right?
everything,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
must have problems with inflammation and pain, and I have something that's like really good, and I should give it to you. I gave Roger. I got to get used to it. But
definitely.
what it does is there's turmeric, curcumin, ashwagandha, a lot of natural ingredients. Instead of sitting there popping ibuprofen, you want to take something natural to help with the inflammation. And I feel it helps a lot. For me, because I want to train train 5 days a week.
I think about half the country started really trending away from pharmaceuticals recently. You know what I mean? So that's a good product to offer. But I got to pick your brain here a little bit, Mr. Liver King. What's your? He's obviously got products out there, right? He's got the liver, liver products and all this. What is your take on him personally? Because obviously he had the world fooled for a while.
Well, not the world.
Well, not
the
anybody
world.
that knew anything about lifting and physique or whatever. He didn't have those people fooled, but he had the majority of people fooled, right?
Yeah.
And his products. What is your take on him?
I mean, the guy, I saw another guy that you remember, Rich Piano.
Yeah.
He died.
Of course.
And I criticized him. I said, this guy's
Too big.
I said he's a train wreck.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
all he just sits there talking about the steroids he takes and what he does. And it was funny because I was at the premiere of the documentary where he was in, and they invited me because I was one of the guys who criticized him. Yeah. And it's funny that I got to sit there and he's right behind me.
Yeah.
The premiere.
Yeah.
But anyways,
was he a dick? Because he comes across
no. He's actually really respectful to me because, like I said, I'm a guy who's been around for a long time. That the respect. I just said the way this guy's making money, pushing young kids and glorifying steroids are not the way to do it. It's not that they're not in the sport, but sitting there glorifying how they're doing their doses. So that guy went to an extreme that way. Liver King went another way. He's friggin' jacked as hell, ripped, and he's sitting there doing all kinds of weird shit, lifting, and then he's here eating raw liver and this guy
testicles.
Testicles.
Frankie's eaten plenty of testicles in his life, but
just doing
it was
weird,
still attached. They weren't detached.
It was all a gimmick to do some weird shit. And it was funny. My daughter was the first one who I didn't know anything about Liver King, and then I don't know how many years ago she showed me like this guy And who the fuck is this guy? You know, I never heard of him.
Yeah.
You know, and he just became so
He's got
big.
a hell of a physique, man. I mean, he's absolutely shredded, but nobody I shouldn't say nobody bought it. I just said that nobody that knew anything about lifting bought that guy was natural. Nobody. You know what I mean? And you know, it didn't seem to hurt him too bad after he got caught. He's still all over the internet. He's still selling his product.
He owned it.
He did own it.
It took a while. He lied quite a bit to get to that point, and then finally, when like evidence was there, then he came clean. A little bit easier, but he did.
He did it all to get a big following.
Right.
He did it all for a big following. Just like I was saying about Rich Piano, he did it all for a big following and make money from it, in which they both did.
Yeah.
But he talks about, you know, ancestral living, which is when we lived in fucking caves, right?
Yeah.
And he eats the food, but he lives in a $30 million mansion. We didn't live like that as ancestors, bro.
No.
You know? So, but, you know, you talk about Rich Piana. I was a fan of Rich Piana, not so much what he was pushed. He was just a bigger-than-life personality. I followed him.
Yeah.
He had this persona about him, kind of, you know, every dude aspires to be like this badass. You know, he was this Harley riding big fucking macho dude. You know, so I did follow him, but I remember he brought a guy on that I'd never heard of before. And he brought him on. I think he kind of introduced him to the world. The guy's name was Boston Lloyd. Do you remember Boston Lloyd?
Boston Lloyd.
Boston Lloyd just recently died.
I know he died too.
I think I could be wrong. I don't know if it was heart, liver, or the combination of the both, but obviously steroid related. He just
very heavy steroid use.
Another guy that was wildly open about it. Talked about how much he took.
You know, what's funny is
ran.
I knew his father very well.
Really?
You know, actually, when I moved to California, he was like a little older than me, but his dad was there in California, and his name was John Lloyd. He was actually a good national bodybuilder. And then when I hear about his son, that was like, I think he was in his early 30s.
Yeah, he was.
Or 29 or 30.
I thought he was like 30.
Maybe he was like 30, like really early 30s. Yeah. And like you said, he would sit there and tell you about, or post like the drugs that he was taking. Right. And look at him now.
He'd wear the shirts with the syringe on the shirt.
Yeah, I mean, and now he's dead. I mean,
you
know, glorifying steroid usage, and I'm not going to deny that I didn't use steroids. I did to compete, to be an elite athlete. I took them much lower doses than the guys are taking today. I don't even know what they take today. It's like if someone asked me, like, what can I do? I'd be like, shit, I don't know, because I don't know the stuff that they're taking right now.
Right.
It's a different,
I think just as time goes by, science gets better.
Yeah,
I'm sure they're getting better stuff or different stuff. You know.
Well, it went from using steroids to using then steroids and GH, then steroids, GH, and insulin. And then you have SARMs, and then you have peptides added in there. So now you have a bunch of other products. I mean, I'm going to tell you myself, I use TRT. I'm on testosterone.
It seems to be the best thing that older men can use.
Listen, I want to train every day. I want to look good. You know, I want to stay lean. I want to have abs, and I'm in my 50s, so I do. You know, I do TRT, but I get monitored by a physician to make sure that my test levels don't go. I mean, when I competed, it was like 3 times higher than normal males. Now mine is like within range.
What is a male? 300 to 500? Something like that?
Well,
normal?
you could go up to almost 1,000.
Normal. Oh wow!
But
I thought 1,000 was crazy high. No,
not well. I'm at like 900, which is like maybe a 20-year-old kid, but. In my 50s, so my testosterone is high, but also my free testosterone. It's not only about total testosterone, but you want to make sure you have a high free testosterone. So,
meaning, explain that.
Well, there's binding hormones that prevent your total testosterone from really being effective. So you want to make sure that you get tested. You want to also test for your free testosterone.
Okay.
So you can have, say, 400 total, but have like a 70% free testosterone. Then someone who has 900, but has maybe only 30% free testosterone in your system. So if you don't have free testosterone, it's really not going to be effective and give you all the benefits of strength, lean muscle mass, anabolism, all these things that you would get.
So when they do a blood work, it comes out your test.
They don't always test. You have to ask.
I think you have to ask for that.
You got to ask for your total and your free.
Okay.
See, I learned something today because I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because if you don't have a high free testosterone level,
my days of running gear are over. But that's good to know. The other thing, too, is I saw. So my hematocrit level was pretty high. This was years ago when I first started going to see a heart cardiologist, meaning you make too many red blood cells, right?
Yes.
But mine is just a genetic thing. It has a name. I forget the name of it, but mine is genetic, right? And,
homosexual.
Yeah. That's good. That was good, man. Feel better about yourself? Feel better? So, anyway, my cardiologist at the time said, "Look, we got to do a blood draw high. Your hematocrit level. I think, like stroke worthy. Like you're on the verge of having a stroke is somewhere near 60, like 58, 59. Mine was around like 55, 56. Yeah. So we're gonna have to draw some blood off." Yeah. And then, as the guy that was doing it, drawing the blood off, he said to me, "Bro, listen, don't waste your time coming in here every 3-4 months. He said, just go to Red Cross. They do the same thing. You know what I mean?" So I was like, "Oh, I didn't realize I could do that." Yeah. So I go, but every time I go, I see like fucking huge dudes in there, and they're all tapped because I'm a pretty big dude, Yeah. They're always tapping me like, "Yeah, you're here for they call it an oil change. Yeah, you're here for an oil change. You're here for an oil change." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm here for the oil change." And I didn't know what they meant at first, and I was like, I guess it's good to flush your system once in a while, right?
When you age like say to 40, 45, what happens is if you do any type of steroids or gear, what happens is it does increase red blood cell count. Right. And it can be very dangerous where if you have too much red blood cells, that's what causes stroke. Because then you have too many cars in the highway,
clogging up.
And they clog up your arteries.
Isn't that like even like when blood doping or EPO, it kind of makes you have more red blood cells?
Yeah,
and that's
also going to be
too,
I mean, it's good for the athlete because they have more oxygenated blood to be able to perform better, but then it's also dangerous. So, giving blood is really good, but when you do go to a doctor, and this is what I'm saying about if you're being monitored, if you're on, testosterone, to make sure you monitor your hematocrit levels, your cholesterol, your triglycerides, all these things to make sure, where your levels are at. Right. So, your liver enzymes, your bun, your kidneys, and make sure you're doing it properly.
Blood enzyme as well. Yeah. I follow some guys on social media, and this one guy, Tulo, I think his name is, and they all give, they don't, I wouldn't say encourage steroid use, but they say, look, if you're going to do it, the best thing you could do is have your blood routinely checked, your levels routinely checked.
Now, when you take TRT, do you have to take an estrogen with that? Or something?
An estrogen blocker?
Estrogen blocker.
Not necessarily, because the reason why you take an estrogen blocker is if you take too high of testosterone, your testosterone will convert to estrogen. So then you want to take, an estrogen.
But if you're taking the right level, that wouldn't happen?
It doesn't happen, and that's another thing you want to test. You want to test your estrogen levels because they could go too high.
You don't want them bitch titties.
You want to test your DHT levels. DHT is what causes hair loss, prostate enlargement. All the bad side effects come from that as well. So you want to test both of those if you're getting testosterone. But yeah, you want to make sure that your estrogen is at norm. You don't want to have too low. You see some of these guys just self-prescribe themselves, like Novadex, take high doses, and then they drop their estrogen down to nothing. Males need a little bit of estrogen as well, because if it's too low, you can have other side effects, bad side effects.
If you got milk coming out your tits, you're probably on the high side.
Well, that's a high side, when you start having sensitive nipples.
Can you milk me, Fokker? Yeah. Yeah, man. So, like I was saying before, though, like what's next for you? You obviously have a bunch of new supplements out. I see you travel. You travel the world, man. You were in India. Well, we had you scheduled for the show once, and there was a little. You were on your way to India. So, is that all promotional for?
It's
Gaspari?
all promotional for the brand. I have royalty deals in different countries. India is one of them. So, I go there twice a year. June and November, I go to India promoting the brand. Those guys, they pay for using my name, a royalty. I do that also in Europe. I do the same thing there. I mean, what's happened is I used to sell to all these countries, but because shipping has gotten so expensive, product exchange, dollar exchange has become so expensive. I say, okay, here you can buy my brand. You're going to give me X amount of money to use my name. So I've been doing that in certain countries, with the brand. So we do that in South America, Europe, India. To do that.
How is India? How's it going out there?
India's, I have to say it's improving. I remember the first time I went to India was about 10 years ago, and I went to India with Flex Lewis, was my athlete. So I went to India, and it was just so dirty. And then, you had to be careful in what you ate, because if you only ate in the hotel, and if you ate something outside the hotel, you can get tapeworm. And it was just, I was seeing just poor kids begging in the streets. And it was just an awful place. And then when I remember getting back home and I was going through customs in Newark, and then the custom agent, do you have any food to declare? And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? I freaking eat shit there. I didn't want to eat nothing. I want to just kiss the ground being back in America. I really love America. I started laughing. Go ahead, go through.
I feel like a lot of young kids today need to go over there because they don't realize how blessed they are to live here.
Oh my God! When you hear people talking, we don't want to get into
We're already shadow banned. Fuck it.
But just, you know, I'm saying when you go to these countries and see how really other people, and I travel around the world. I've been in, Brazil, and there's like really nice areas of Brazil, but then there's like slums in Brazil. You've been to Brazil?
Oh yeah.
But I love going to Rio. And,
Rio's awesome.
I've been to
What's your favorite spot you've ever been? Not necessarily for work.
In the world?
Just, in the world.
I'm Italian, and I love Italy. Going to Italy.
Sure.
Been to places like Ischia. Just beautiful places in Italy because it's so diverse. You have the mountains, and then you can go to the sea, and it's like tropical.
Sure.
And it's just all the antiquities of the Rome, and I mean I love it. Plus I'm Italian, so for me it's always like going back to my roots.
Absolutely. Yeah. You're originally from not East Brunswick.
New Brunswick.
New Brunswick.
I was born in New Brunswick, but I grew up in Edison.
Edison, yeah.
So we're talking about Edison now. That's like very India.
It is.
Now it is. Yeah.
I actually went up there.
Not when you were younger, though.
No, I was younger.
Yeah.
I graduated. It was all it was all mostly predominantly white, and there was no Indians. Now you go to Edison, and they just bought the whole town.
I went up there to see a back doctor because my back was in really bad shape. And Indian dude knew his shit, and But I walked into the hospital up there, and it was every doctor in there was an Indian guy. So yeah.
And when you go to India, they know about Edison too.
Is that right?
They're like, the sister city, Edison.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Kind of like Lakewood when you go to Israel.
Oh yeah. Well, that's a whole other different type of Jewish people there.
So, so Gaspari started when?
Shit. Now I'm gonna do my age. I started Gaspari as soon as I retired from bodybuilding. And when I started it, I started at my mom's, my parents' basement.
Yeah.
It's now going 25 years that I started that brand. And when I started it, the first 3-4 years, I wasn't even making money, and I was struggling with the brand. I was like going to sell like life insurance and do whatever I could to make money, but I was like, I'll give you a story. I went to sell life insurance because I had a girlfriend who was telling me, "Oh, you're wasting your time doing this Gaspari shit." So I got my license on selling insurance. So I go out on the road in the suit. I
don't know what your name is, lady, but you see him now. He's got a beautiful house on the water over here.
So the story was, I go out and I'm like, I'd learned how to sell this. They called it mortgage insurance. Basically, it was a life insurance on the house so that if you died, it paid off the mortgage. So I go out on the road and I get my first sale, and I go there and I knock on the door, with a lead, and I sell the insurance. And I go back to the guy and I go, "I got good news and bad news. I got my first sale. Bad news, I quit. I can't do this shit. I'm not doing this." And went and just continued on with Gaspari, and then started just, you always say, like, if you throw enough shit against the wall, eventually it's going to stick.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. I kept, I was like going door to door selling my product, and basically not door to door, but gym to gym to gym, because like you probably, Frank, you go to different gyms. I was like, now I'm going to sell my product to these different gyms. And I go to all the bodybuilding gyms I used to go to. A lot of guys, said, no, we're not interested. Even though I was like a hero as an athlete, but then as a salesman, they weren't interested. But I didn't give up, and I kept just selling the brand, and eventually it started sticking. And
in my mind, it's legendary worldwide, but certainly legendary in New Jersey. I always thought it was the biggest supplement company around. I sent you a picture back in my Jersey Shore days. Remember I sent you? So it was maybe 2009, 2010 or something. I got a Gaspari shirt on.
I mean, it was funny. You were on Jersey Shore, and actually the situations manager came because we were going to actually do something with him, and then we were going to do it, and then I asked like my fans, should we do that? No, don't use that guy. I actually changed my mind because I was like, I had so many like negative comments about using him, but I was like, oh, this guy's in shape, he looks good. I changed my mind.
Changed your mind. at the time maybe that was a good decision. Sorry, Mike, but he was a hot mess. You know, back when I was early days of dating my ex and stuff. But he's really cleaned himself up now. He's doing great. Just had his second child. Is totally like doesn't.
Was years ago.
Yeah. So he's living his best life now. So I'm happy for Mike.
That's good news.
Yeah. Good dude. Yeah. So anyway, now back then a little bit of a little out there.
Reckless, a little reckless.
Yeah. So I remember one time I don't know if this is known or not, but one time he just went MIA, like fucking just took his mic pack off and shit and like left, jumped in his car, and someone said that the police like pulled him over on the parkway doing like 130 or something.
Wow.
Yeah, jumped in one of his sports cars. Yeah, it was the wild west back then. But again, not to talk about this shit, but when you take young people and throw a whole bunch of money and fame at them, most people turn out to be hot messes. In the end, everybody turned out good and everybody figured it out after a while. But, if I was in my early 20s and you threw millions of dollars at me and instant overnight fame, I'd probably be a hot fucking mess too, So
that's what happens to a lot of these stars, these child stars. They end up being drug addicts.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
So it happens to the best, when they're young.
No, I can't. That's a lot of money to have as a young kid, and fame, and and all that stuff, and attention. That's got to be crazy.
It's a lot. It's a lot for anybody to handle. So. Yeah, man. Anything coming up? Anything you want to plug? I mean, tell our followers where they can find you on social media.
You can see me, social
your podcast,
media, Instagram. Rich Gaspari. I do have a podcast as well, and they're gonna get Frankie to come on the show.
Yeah,
Fitness, Fame, and Fortune on YouTube. Yep. I do that. The brands, GaspariNutrition.com, or you got GaspariAgeless.com. You guys, if you're going to the Arnold Classic, it's going to be the 35th anniversary.
Wow.
And I will be at that show because I was the first winner of that show. So that's showing time. And
that is awesome.
I'm an old fuck, but I'm still, still training.
You look great, bro. You look great.
Yeah.
You do. You look great. This guy's still got abs. It's crazy.
It's
crazy.
I would show like abs, or just like today I was training in the gym and I was doing this like crazy leg workout, like a giant set, doing 4 different exercises, boom, 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 and I was like training these 2 other guys and this girl, and they're like, fuck, you're nuts.
That's gotta feel good, man. That's gotta feel good. And thank God you have the health to do it. I mean, obviously you train hard, but you're not one of those guys that push so hard that you can't even move today.
I learned now to not pick up heavy weights or push heavy weights. Now you can train and still, the whole thing with muscle is training to failure. So if you can make a weight heavy, and you won't mess up your joints, but you could still train to failure. Yep. So if you do a slow-mo rep and do 5 seconds, pushing, and 5-second extension, contraction, it's really hard to do a weight. It becomes much heavier.
Right.
So, but it also protects your joints. So that's how I'm training now as I've aged.
Sure.
So I don't affect the joints. I can't sit there and put 800 pounds on my back and do a squat, but I can do a slow-mo squat with 225 or 275 and still do that weight and not kill myself, doing it.
What is it?
You ever hear of the BFR cuffs? Blood flow restriction cuffs?
Yeah, I've heard of using those.
I've been using it for physical therapy.
Yeah.
But because they say you put it on, you
bicep.
put it in your bicep, or I assume you can put it on your legs.
Yeah.
And it makes like a 30-pound dumbbell feel like a 60-pound dumbbell.
Really?
Yeah.
You liked using it?
I mean, I had some atrophy in my arm from some neck nerve pain.
I've had that,
and it seemed like it's helping a little bit. I'll do like the protocol is like 30 reps, 15, so you really want to blow it up. And
well, I had a surgery in July. What happened to me is that what basically retired me from bodybuilding is. It's a blessing disguised because I probably may have ended up like Ronnie Coleman. Is I herniated a disc in my neck. My right side was like paralyzed. I had to bring it back, but my career was over. From that point, I never fixed my neck, so my neck was messed up. And then recently, my arm was atrophying more, and I was having issues. So I just had basically an artificial disc surgery.
You did? You got to put in? Wow.
Yeah. So they had the artificial disc put in. They cut you from the front,
right.
And they went in and they. They put
my sister just had, I don't know if it's artificial fusion, right?
No.
I didn't do a fusion.
Okay, she had a fusion.
I have total mobility.
That's kind of new, right? The fusions. Yeah.
She just did that last week.
Because of who I was, the orthopedic surgeon went to the company that this disc just came out.
Oh, right on.
And they gave me the disc for free, and they did the surgery.
Sometimes
for
it's good to be. Sometimes it's good to be somebody, right?
free. So they, so I have to promote this disc. And
Yeah. Well, hey, here you are. Here you are.
And
that was recently.
I just in July. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But it's still taking time for my right arm to come back.
That's the nerve. It takes a while.
The
to
nerves
generate,
take. It's really frustrating.
I think they say it's like 1 millimeter a month.
Even like I don't know,
regenerates
like
itself.
you're having like even a push up just to hold myself up. It's really difficult to do, and I'm just trying to
build
the
I think
nerve.
slow and like you said, slow and just constant, right?
But I had that surgery and another surgery I had over a year ago in November. Is we talk about health and getting your blood work. Is I had a stent put in. I didn't even realize I had anything wrong with my heart. But then when I seen all these bodybuilders dying, and I've used steroids, and I've said, let me go to a cardiologist. And then when I went to the cardiologist, I did this test called a C-scan. C-scan shows the calcium deposits, and mine was through the roof. So right away they had me come in, and they had me do, they went in, I guess, with a scope.
Yep.
They go through your wrist. They went all the way.
Oh, I thought they usually go through the groin.
They
went
do.
through
They
your
used to go through the groin. Now they can go through your wrist.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Because you can pull it out, and you can, basically you don't have to sit there for hours.
That's amazing.
When you go through the groin. But anyway, they went through my wrist, and they found one of my arteries were 70% clogged.
Wow.
Okay.
So I had to put in a stent. From that point, I had to go on heart medicine, and that's why. And even though I'm on all that stuff, I'm still on TRT because I'm monitored by a doctor.
Sure.
And with that, my cholesterol's really low. My HDL went up, which is your good cholesterol. My LDL went down. I check my blood panels constantly.
Good.
But you never know what happens.
You look great, man.
Yeah, really good.
Oh, I was.
He says he does lightweight. I'm sure that's not light for me.
No.
Or you, Raj.
Yeah, no, not me either. I was never a bodybuilder or even close, but I used to be fairly big back in the day. I just want to see if it's the same for you as it is for me. What is the most annoying question that somebody asks you if they see that you're, in shape, you're a big guy? Is it
How much do you lift?
Yes. No, bench press. Bench press.
Yeah,
Bro, everybody.
But even how much do you lift? What do you mean
What do you
lift?
mean
How much
lift?
can you bench press?
How much can you bench? How much can you bench?
Bro,
You want to know why Roger gets mad?
because it ain't very
Cannot
much.
bench press a lot.
That is
You
true.
can bench a lot.
That is true. That's absolutely
But the
true.
one is like, how much do you lift? What the fuck is that?
Yeah,
How much do I
yeah.
lift?
yeah.
What? What
yeah,
lift?
Exactly. Yeah. That's great, man. Well, listen, Rich, it was an honor, a pleasure, man. New Jersey
Thank
royalty
you.
in the
Yeah,
house.
absolutely.
We're neighbors.
Yeah.
Got to have Frankie on your show now, but we
Yes.
so much appreciate
Make it
you coming in. You got to sign the board up there
Yes.
before you leave. And everybody check out Rich, GaspariNutrition.com.
GaspariNutrition.com.
Yep.
GaspariAngels.com.
Yes.
You want to see me on Instagram, it's Rich Gaspari.
Awesome, man. Appreciate you, brother.
Thank you.
Thank you.